Hello, everybody. Did you know that there are three types of Gandanta? Today, I'm going to talk about them. There is the Nakshatra Gandanta and Lagna Gandanta, and finally, Tithi Gandanta. So, what to see and how to decode them? Hello, everybody. I'm Komilla Sutton, and today I'm going to talk about the three types of Gandanta. So I would like to request you also to subscribe to my channel. I am posting transits and tutorials twice a week, lots of information, sometimes more than twice a week. And so if you could subscribe as well as press the bell notification, that would be very nice, and I'd appreciate that. And so getting back to this topic of Gandanta, I had made a video earlier just about the Nakshatra Gandanta. And then some of you wrote to me to ask that I should do one about the Lagna Gandanta as well. So I suddenly realized that I'd actually not mentioned the third type of Gandanta, which is the Tithi Gandanta. So I'm going to explore all of these three together. And first Gandanta, of course, is what is called the Nakshatra Gandanta. And you could say that also between the Rashis, and generally this is studied for moon's position and also other planets. So the Nakshatra Gandanta, I'll put a link to the Gandanta lecture or video that I'd made. So the Nakshatra Gandanta is when planets are between Revati, Ashwini, Pisces, Aries, Cancer, Ashlesha, and Magha, Leo, and finally Scorpio, Jyeshta, and Mula, Sagittarius. And moon's position in the birth chart in Gandanta means that your dasha will change instantly after you are born, and therefore it shows an unsettled energy for you. Anyway, all of it I gave in detail in my Gandanta video. The link is there. And then we also study the other planets in Gandanta through these three positions. So if the planets are placed there, then they also get affected. And as far as moon and the other planets are concerned, we study the Gandanta by transit as well. Of course, the moon will go through Gandanta 3 times a month, but other planets will go through Gandanta, as their time comes. And often you see that when Sun goes through Gandanta, and Venus and Mercury will do almost immediately. So we may get 3 Gandantas, one after the other. Sometimes if there's another planet, it'll be 4. And of course, the moon is going through Gandanta all the time. And specifically about the moon Gandanta, we will not start a new project when moon is in Gandanta. Of course, if you know the rules of electing auspicious time, you know that most of the nakshatras around Gandanta are not really eligible for good deeds and good projects. So we avoid them. But Gandanta is a definite no-no. So you would avoid that. Lagna Gandanta happens when your Lagna or ascendant is in Gandanta. So that will happen when your ascendant is either 29 degrees 12 minutes Pisces to 0 degrees 48 minutes Aries. So that zone is the first Gandanta. The second Gandanta is 29 degrees 12 Cancer, Ashlesha Nakshatra to 048 Leo, Magha Nakshatra. And the final one is 29 degrees 12 minutes Scorpio to 48 minutes of Sagittarius, between Jyeshta and Mula. Now, if the Lagna is in Gandanta, firstly, what is the question you would ask yourself is that how good is the time of birth? Sometimes you just have a vague idea. It's, 10 to 10 minutes past 10 or, something like that. Then you have to really be careful because you may not be in Gandanta. So Gandanta is a specific position, and if you have your Lagna there, that means it affects all your life. And throughout the life, you are kind of at a karmic blocked point. So Gandanta, Gand Anta. Gand means a knot, Anta means the end. It's like a karmic knot is there, either at the end of a sign or a beginning of the sign, where all sorts of issues from past life are accumulated. And then your Lagna, which is you, yourself, your identity, you're born right at that moment, then this is a complex time. And therefore, either of the 6 signs, you have to be firstly very conscious that Gandanta is there. And then it means that life is unsteady. There are some complex issues that you have to deal with, and it would be important that you do develop more spiritually, because just looking at life from a material point of view may not be enough for you. So that is very important. Then another important point about these Gandantas is that when you're doing Mahurata is electing auspicious time, and the Lagna of the Mahurata should not be in any of these Gandanta positions. So that is an added thing to be conscious of, that you're not choosing the Mahurat at that time. Mahurat is a very important part of Vedic astrology, is that we make correct choices and improve the quality of our life by choosing good times, good auspicious times to start new projects. So what you're doing is that you're adding vitamin to your life, really. Every time you make a good choice. So I'll do separate videos on Mahurat, and it's a most important concept of Jyotish, and you should be taking that very seriously. But if you have a Gandanta Lagna for Mahurat, then that is not very good for you. So end of Pisces, early Aries, end of Cancer, early Leo, end of Scorpio, early Sagittarius. So, because that is your choice, that you're making a choice. If you're born with Gandanta, then there are different aspects, and you do need to do the remedies. You do need to give yourself more spiritual life to understand that, you are at a unsettled energy and some karmic issues that you need to deal with. The final Gandanta is called the Tithi Gandanta. And the Tithi Gandanta is when the Tithi is in Gandanta position. Now, I wrote about that in my book, Personal Panchanga, and I wrote about how it feels to have Tithi Gandanta in your birth chart. But I did not write about the transit Tithi Gandanta. So the Tithi Gandanta, all these are given in Brihad Parashar Hora Shastra, the 3 Gandantas, and the remedies also given for them. But the Tithi Gandanta is when you are born between 5th and 6th Tithi, 10th and 11th Tithi, or 15th and 1st Tithi. So it's right at the edge, again about 48 minutes before the end of the Tithi, 48 minutes at the start of the new Tithi. So these 2 Tithis are fire and air Tithis, 5 and 6, 10 and 11, and 15 and 1. And what happens is that at this area, the energy is very complex, and the Tithis represent auspiciousness, how we feel about ourselves, the Tithi that we are born under, and the Tithi that we start any project with. And so you must be aware of it. Certain softwares will give the Tithi Gandanta, but most of them will not give. So Vedic astrology software. I've put a link below of Sri Jyoti Star, which has the Tithi Gandanta there, so you can look that up. But the Tithi Gandanta is very important to see in a natal chart, because the study of Panchang, if you're born on the Gandanta, it means that it affects you, and it has a difficult energy. And then when we look at the annual Tithi birthdays as well, then that Gandanta repeats itself every year on your Tithi birthday, which is like all the gods' birthdays are celebrated on the Tithis. So this Tithi Gandanta is very important to study and to know about, because this is deals with your feel-good factor, how you feel, how comfortable you feel with yourself. And Tithis are about, your emotional energy, about, the nurturing, how nurtured you feel. So when you are born with Tithi Gandanta, that is more complicated energy to deal with. And as I said, that it annually repeats itself. So that means that unless you do some remedy for it, then it is remains blocked, and it creates bigger and bigger blocks for you. And it can affect marriage and relationships as well. And then the other aspect of Tithi Gandanta is that you would use that for Mahurata again. So Mahurata is electing auspicious time, that you would not do a Mahurata at these Gandanta times. You know that Panchami and Dashami Tithis are very good for Mahurat, and people will do Mahurat. But if the Gandanta is on, that means it's a transition period. And these are the only 3 Gandantas that are given between the Tithis. That means that is very stormy area, very blocked, very difficult. So therefore, the auspiciousness of the energy will not be there. So just leave some messages of how you deal with the Gandanta, and I will reply to you. And if you have ever used Tithi Gandanta as well. So the remedy that Sage Parashar gives is usually connected to worship, of studying sacred text, of balancing yourself through yoga, through mantras. These things help immensely, but you have to be ready and wanting to do them. And then it is powerful. It's not that you're doing it under duress, but if you have these aspects, Gandantas in your chart, then you know that you need to work with them. And finally, please do subscribe and also press the bell notification, because I do want you to get all the new things that I post, and then you don't have to wait for it and know whether I've posted it or not. So that would be much appreciated. Thank you, and check out my website, komilla.com.